I want to talk today about making good decisions. If y'all have ever listened to a Joel Osteen podcast, he starts them all off like that. Is the only reason I laugh. I'm going to talk today about X. So, I don't know, right when I became a mom almost 10 years ago, my daily walks, 20, 30-minute walk, whatever it was, I always listened to Joel Osteen. He always had a good message. It was right in the length that I needed before the kid would fall asleep in the stroller, but just enough that I could get a little extra, whatever. So it was great. I listened to so many of them. And then I basically met Father Mike Schmitz, and I left Joel behind. But anyway, so recently I was listening to a Joel Osteen, and it was about making good decisions. And because I was a little conflicted in some things we were evaluating. And I think in so many times in our life, we're faced with decisions. Obviously, we want to make the right one. We don't want to go the wrong path. Lord, help me make the right decision, blah, blah, blah. And then we get an analysis paralysis, and then we're too afraid to even make a choice, and then we don't do anything. And then, I mean, that can't be, y'all. It can't be. I remember when I was discerning, debating, praying over whether my husband was the man for me. We were friends for so long, and I didn't know if we should take our friendship into a romantic relationship because it felt weird. And I didn't think I liked him like that because for so long I didn't. And eventually, after many, many, many years, God did change my heart, and it was the right time. And I did like him like that. I'm sure you'll hear variations of this story many, many times. But that was the story. But when I was like so struggling with it, I remember sitting down to dinner with my girlfriend and her husband of the time, and he was in the military. And of course, like she and I were like gabbing like gals do, just like gals do, and gals be gabbing. And I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should date him. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, what do you think, man, who's sitting at the table hearing all this, back and forth? And he very simply said, when we were in the military, we had to choose one way or the other. There was no time to think about it. We acted, and then we moved. And then if we had to change course, we did. But you can't flounder around. You must make a decision, and then you must act. And then you see, was it the right one? I don't know. Was there fruit there? We'll find out. It might have been the most profound thing that particular dude ever said, but I was grateful for it in the time. So we have to act. We have to discern, but then we have to act. And when we decide to invite God into our decisions, we decide to discern over them prayerfully. Lord, where do you want me to go? Which road, whoa, which road do you want me to go down? Which route do you want me to take? When we involve him, then he's going to protect us from making a really bad decision. And that's kind of what Joel was talking about in his podcast that day. Like when we invite the Lord into what we're doing, into what we're deciphering between and the path he wants us to take, then he's going to guide us down the right ways. Now, it doesn't mean that every decision we ever make is going to be the best thing we ever did. And, oh, that was awesome. Because sometimes we have to learn lessons. Sometimes things change. Sometimes he removes us from a situation so he can put us in an even better one. But what I like to think about when we are debating between one way or another or the other, and maybe we do choose something that wasn't the right path, or maybe we were hasty and took a bigger risk than we were ready to at that time or whatever. I don't think that God looks down at us and he's like, oh my gosh, Jessica, again, good gracious child. I have told you time and again, like, how would you? No, 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 no. I really, truly do not believe that. I instead see him as the faithful father that he is, with a smile on his face, rolling up his godly sleeves, kind of cracking his knuckles out in front of him, going, okay, let's see what I can do with this now. Like, you made your choice, and maybe it didn't end up taking you to where you thought it would or the best possible situation, but God can move in that. He's going to work in that. He's going to roll up his sleeves and be like, all right, okay, let's see what we're going to do from here. He gives us free will. That is the beauty of the freedom that we have in Jesus. God has given us free will to choose what we want to do in this world. And He lets us. He lets us. He lets us make our own choices. And sometimes they are not for good. Sometimes we make poor ones. Sometimes we don't think it through. Sometimes we don't invite God in. But He doesn't leave us. He doesn't leave us dangling in the wind. He's going to say, okay, well, I was trying to get you to this point in your life, and you chose the other direction. So we're just going to have to take a little detour to get us back on track. So as I alluded to, in my younger life, I was a wee bit indecisive. I think it's hereditary. I'm not saying I blame my mother, but she had a similar issue debating whether or not she should date my dad or if he was the one to marry. I don't know. But once she makes up her mind, my mom is solid. So she might take a bit to get to the decision she's going to make, but once she makes it, there is no going back. And I'm similar. And I also think that we can develop the skill of decisiveness over time. I think our situations make us more decisive. I definitely know that I've become more decisive since becoming a mom. Because you don't have time to mess around. Okay, should I feed him this or that? Well, the kid is yelling, put something on their plate in front of them. There's no time to think about it. Or, hey, I've got to get to the doctor by then, and we got to make sure the nap gets in by then, and then I got to get the bottle right back. You move, you act, you must, because you have people who are counting on you, and people that you don't want to hear crying all day long or pouting because you couldn't get the thing done. We don't have time to just sit around and be indecisive. We must act and then course correct if necessary. It's just like Siri. You start driving, yo, Siri, put on the directions to take me to XYZ, and she does. Inherently, you take a wrong turn or miss the exit. What does she do? Recalculating. Recalculate. There's another path, people. It may not have been the original one that would have been the quickest and easiest and most direct, but here's another path coming up. You're still going to get to your destination. So even if you took a job and it didn't end up being what you thought it would be, there's going to be another opportunity. You're going to keep going. You're going to find something different. You have to be patient, and you have to trust. You have to trust. It's going to work out. God is going to take care of you. Now, my husband likes to say this, like, it's not a failure or it's not a bad decision. It's an education. And sometimes that educating costs more than others, just like schools. You stay in state, you go out of state, one's going to cost more. Sometimes the things we choose and the things we do, that learning process hurts more, costs us more, but we learn every time. I live right outside of Interstate 10, I-10 in Houston. It runs east and west. So at sunset the other day, I was pulling out onto I-10, so it was right around 5 something. And I looked to my left. If I had gone west, it was this beautiful start of a sunset. Oranges and yellows and beautiful. But then I looked to my right, heading east, equally beautiful, but different. Pinks, purple, indigo. And it just goes to show you, when you're at a crossroads in your life, no matter which way you decide to turn, the truth is that God can make something beautiful of it. Whichever way you go, as long as you involve Him. So keep Him close, people. He wants what is good for you. He can't want anything better because He is good and He has made you good. All right. I know making decisions is hard, and no one wants to make a wrong one, and no one wants to deliberate over it forever. But just know that you can act, you can trust, you can rest. God will make something beautiful of your life, no matter which direction you turn. Peace out, homies. I love you.